The shuttle doors opened with a soft hiss, and Ambassador Sarah Chen stepped onto the metal floor of Nexus Station. Her black diplomatic uniform was perfectly pressed, her dark hair pulled back in a neat bun. Most importantly, she wore her trademark: smile, gentle, patient, and somehow never quite reaching her eyes. The Galactic Council's neutral station stretched out before her like a massive metal city floating in space. Alien species from across the galaxy walked through the wide corridors. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few looked like walking trees. Chen had studied them all during her 3-month journey from Earth. Ambassador Chen, a tall, blue-skinned alien, approached her. "I am Diplomat Vex of the Altarian Republic. Welcome to Nexus Station." Chen bowed slightly, her smile never changing. "Thank you for the warm welcome, Diplomat Vex. Earth is honored to be considered for membership in the Galactic Council." Behind her, 2 humans in simple gray uniforms carried her luggage. To any observer, they looked like basic security guards. Their names were Marcus and Elena, and they moved with the casual ease of people who had nothing to worry about. As they walked through the station, Chen noticed how other aliens looked at her. Some stared with curiosity. Others whispered among themselves. A few made sounds that might have been laughter. She kept smiling. The meeting chamber was huge. 12 seats arranged in a circle, each designed for a different alien species. Chen was given a small chair in the center. It felt like being on trial. The council members filed in one by one. The Zephyrian delegate caught Chen's attention immediately. He was 8 feet tall, with a body like a giant insect. His name was High Speaker Zix, and his 4 arms moved constantly as he spoke. "So," Zix's voice clicked and buzzed, "this is what Earth sends us. One small human female." Chen's smile remained steady. "Earth sends its most experienced diplomat, High Speaker. I have been handling difficult negotiations for 15 years. A round alien covered in orange fur laughed. "Difficult negotiations? What would humans know about difficulty? Your species only discovered faster-than-light travel 50 years ago. We have been traveling the stars for thousands of years." "That is true," Chen said calmly. "We are new to galactic society. That is why we are here to learn from your wisdom." Another council member, this one looking like a living crystal, spoke up. "Your application for membership is interesting, but we must discuss your species' violent history first." Chen tilted her head slightly. "Our history is indeed complex. We have learned much from our mistakes." "Mistakes?" Zix leaned forward, his insect eyes gleaming. "Your planet has seen constant warfare. Even now you maintain what you call military forces. How can we trust such a violent species?" "We maintain defense forces, yes," Chen replied. "Every species must protect itself. I am sure the Galactic Council understands this need." The crystal being made a sound like wind chimes. "Defense forces. Is that what you call your war machines? Your weapons that can destroy entire cities?" Chen's smile never wavered. "Technology can be used for creation or destruction. We prefer creation." For 3 hours, the questions continued. Each council member took turns pointing out humanity's flaws. They mentioned every war, every conflict, every dark moment in human history. They talked about humans like they were discussing dangerous animals. Through it all, Chen sat quietly, hands folded in her lap, that same gentle smile on her face. She answered each question with patience. She never raised her voice. She never showed anger. During a break, Marcus approached her with a cup of water. "How are you holding up, Ambassador?" "Just fine, Marcus," she said softly. "They are exactly what we expected them to be." Elena checked her tablet nearby. "The communication array is working perfectly. Earth is receiving every word." Chen nodded. "Good. Let them hear everything." When the session resumed, the attacks became more personal. Zix seemed to enjoy himself the most. "Tell us, Ambassador Chen," he clicked. "What makes you think humanity deserves to sit among civilized species? Your people kill each other for resources. You destroy your own planet's environment. You create weapons designed only to cause suffering." Chen's smile remained unchanged. "We are not perfect, High Speaker. No species is. But we are willing to learn and grow." "Learn and grow?" The orange-furred alien laughed again. You have had thousands of years to learn, yet you still fight wars. You still build weapons. You still divide yourselves into nations that hate each other. Division can sometimes lead to strength through diversity, Chen said. Competition can drive innovation, a snake-like council member hissed. Competition. Another word for conflict. Another excuse for violence. The crystal being chimed in again. Perhaps humanity is not ready for galactic society. Perhaps you need another 1,000 years to mature. Chen's smile seemed to grow slightly wider. Time is indeed a wonderful teacher. We have learned so much in our short time among the stars. As the day wore on, the insults became more direct. They called humans primitive. They said Earth was a backward planet. They suggested that humanity's only contribution to the galaxy would be manual labor for more advanced species. Through it all, Chen maintained her diplomatic composure. She thanked them for their honesty. She agreed that humanity had much to learn. She never once lost her temper. We appreciate this opportunity to present our case, she said as the session ended. Earth hopes to prove worthy of the Galactic Council's trust. Zix made a sound that might have been amusement. Hope is a fragile thing, Ambassador. We will continue these discussions tomorrow. That evening, Chen sat in her assigned quarters aboard the station. They were small and plain, more like a prison cell than diplomatic housing. Marcus and Elena were in the room next door. She opened her personal communicator and sent a brief message to Earth. Day 1 complete, proceeding as planned. The response came quickly. Understood. Package delivered. Standing by. Chen closed the communicator and looked out the small window at the stars. Her reflection looked back at her, still wearing that same patient smile. She thought about her last mission before becoming a diplomat. The outer colony war had been brutal. She had been different then, harder, more direct. They had called her Reaper's Smile because she never stopped smiling, even in the worst battles. But that was the past. Now she was Ambassador Chen, Earth's most experienced diplomat. Tomorrow would bring more insults, more tests, more attempts to humiliate humanity. She was looking forward to it. The smile in her reflection seemed to grow just a little bit wider. In the corridor outside, 2 Zephyrian guards walked their patrol. They talked quietly about the human diplomat. She seems harmless enough, one said. Too harmless, the other replied. There is something about that smile. It never changes. Perhaps all humans smile like that. Perhaps. But I have seen many. Species try to hide their fear during council sessions. The smile never stays so steady. They continued their patrol, unaware that in her quarters, Chen was reviewing detailed files on each council member. She knew their species' weaknesses. She knew their military capabilities. She knew their fears. Most importantly, she knew this was never about diplomatic membership. Earth's intelligence services had intercepted their communications months ago. This was a trap. But humanity had walked into it with eyes wide open. Chen's smile remained perfectly steady as she prepared for tomorrow's session. The morning of the 3rd day began like the others. Chen arrived at the council chamber with her usual smile and her 2 guards trailing behind her. But something felt different in the air. The council members seemed more relaxed, almost pleased, with themselves. High Speaker Zix was particularly animated, his 4 arms moving in what Chen recognized as Zephyrian expressions of satisfaction. The other council members exchanged looks that seemed to say they were sharing a secret. Ambassador Chen, Zix began, we have reached a decision regarding humanity's application for membership. Chen's smile remained steady. We are eager to hear your judgment, High Speaker. The crystal being chimed softly. Before we announce our decision, we must commend you on your patience these past few days. You have shown remarkable restraint in the face of our thorough questioning. Thank you, Chen replied. It is important to understand all concerns before moving forward. The orange-furred alien made a purring sound. Indeed, and now we understand everything we need to know about humanity. Zix stood up from his chair, towering over the chamber. The Galactic Council has unanimously decided that humanity is not suitable for membership at this time. Chen nodded slightly. I see. May I ask what specific concerns led to this decision? Concerns? The snake-like council member hissed with what sounded like amusement. Oh, Ambassador Chen, you misunderstand. This was never about concerns. The atmosphere in the room shifted suddenly. Chen felt Marcus and Elena tense behind her, but she kept her expression calm. I am afraid I do not understand, Chen said. Zix's insect eyes gleamed with something that looked like hunger. Of course you do not. Your species is too primitive to understand galactic politics. You see, Ambassador, this entire process has been a deception. The chamber's lights dimmed, and Chen heard the soft hum of energy barriers activating. Blue walls of force sprang up around the human delegation, trapping them in the center of the room. The Galactic Council has been monitoring your species. Expansion for several years now, the crystal being explained. Your rapid technological advancement, your aggressive colonization of nearby systems, your military buildup. Chen's smile never wavered. Expansion and growth are natural for any developing species. Natural, yes, Zix agreed, and dangerous. We have seen species like yours before, Ambassador. They start with peaceful exploration, then they become territorial, then they become threats. The orange-furred alien stood up as well. We cannot allow another aggressive species to gain a foothold in galactic society. History teaches us that such species must be stopped early. Chen looked around the chamber calmly. I assume you have a plan for stopping us? Indeed we do, Zix said with obvious pleasure. We are going to make an example of you, Ambassador Chen. Your execution will be broadcast across all human colonies. The message will be clear. Stay in your corner of the galaxy or face the consequences. Marcus stepped forward slightly, but Chen held up a hand to stop him. An execution? That seems rather extreme for a diplomatic mission. The snake-like council member slithered closer to the energy barrier. Diplomacy was your excuse to come. Here, this chamber has recorded every word you have spoken. The galaxy will see that we gave humanity every chance to prove it was civilized. Instead, you have shown us exactly what we expected. A violent, primitive species unfit for galactic society. Chen tilted her head thoughtfully. And after my execution? What then? Then we wait, the crystal being chimed. When humanity inevitably responds with violence, we will have justification for a preemptive strike. The other species will support us because they will have seen your true nature. Zix made a sound like laughter. Your own colonies will see their beloved diplomat murdered by the Galactic Council. They will demand revenge, and when they attack us, we will destroy them completely. For the first time in 3 days, Chen's smile changed. It grew wider, reaching her eyes at last. That is a very clever plan, High Speaker. The council members seemed surprised by her reaction. They had expected fear, anger, desperate pleading. Instead, Chen looked almost pleased. You approve? The orange-furred alien asked, confused. Oh yes, Chen said softly. It shows real strategic thinking, long-term planning, the ability to manipulate events to your advantage. These are impressive skills. Zix's 4 arms moved uncertainly. You seem remarkably calm for someone about to die, Ambassador. Chen's smile grew even wider. Death has never frightened me, High Speaker. I have been close friends with death for many years. The energy barriers around the humans shifted, becoming smaller, forcing them closer together. Armed guards of various alien species entered the chamber, weapons trained on the trapped humans. We will move you to the execution chamber now, the crystal being announced. The broadcast will begin in 1 hour. We want to give all human colonies time to receive the signal. As the energy barriers opened to allow the guards to escort them out, Chen spoke to Marcus and Elena without turning around. Gentlemen, I believe it is time to drop the diplomatic pretense. Marcus smiled for the first time since arriving at the station. About time, Ambassador. This patient stuff was getting old. Elena checked something on her wrist device. All systems are green, ma'am. We are ready to proceed. The council members looked confused by this exchange. The guards hesitated, unsure if they should be concerned by the humans' sudden change in demeanor. Zix stepped closer to Chen. What are you talking about? What pretense? Chen looked up at the towering insect alien, her smile now something that made even the most predatory council members take a step backward. High Speaker, she said in a voice suddenly devoid of diplomatic sweetness. "Did you really think that Earth would send its most valuable diplomat into an obvious trap without a plan?" The chamber fell silent, except for the hum of machinery and the sound of alien hearts beating faster. "What trap?" the orange-furred alien demanded. "We are the ones setting the trap." Chen laughed, and the sound was nothing like the polite chuckles she had made during the diplomatic sessions. This laugh was sharp, cold, and full of genuine amusement. "Oh, my dear council members," she said. "You intercepted some of our communications. You learned about our military expansion. You decided we were a threat, so you invited us here to eliminate that threat." She paused, looking around at each alien face in turn. "But what makes you think we did not intercept your communications as well?" The silence that followed was deafening. Chen could see understanding beginning to dawn in some of the aliens' eyes. "That is impossible," Zix said, but his voice carried less certainty than before. "Human technology is decades behind ours." "Is it?" Chen asked. "Are you sure about that, High Speaker?" She looked at her two guards, who no longer looked like simple security personnel. Their posture had changed, their eyes had sharpened, and something about them suddenly seemed very dangerous. "Gentlemen," Chen said softly, "I think our hosts are ready for the real negotiations to begin." The alien guards raised their weapons, but Chen's smile had become something that made them hesitate just long enough to matter. In that moment of hesitation, everything changed. The moment of hesitation was all Chen needed. Her diplomatic composure vanished like smoke. In one fluid motion, she ducked under the first guard's weapon and drove her elbow into what passed for his throat. The alien made a choking sound and collapsed. Marcus and Elena moved at the same time. What the council had dismissed as ceremonial guards revealed themselves to be something else entirely. Elena's diplomatic case opened with a soft click, revealing weapons that should not have existed. Marcus grabbed the nearest alien guard and twisted his neck with a sharp crack. The chamber erupted into chaos. High Speaker Zix stumbled backward, his forearms waving frantically. "This is impossible. The station's scanners would have detected weapons." Chen caught a plasma rifle as it fell from a guard's hands. Her movements were sharp and precise, like a machine designed for killing. "Your scanners detect known weapon signatures, High Speaker. These are human designs. We have been innovating." She fired once. The blast took out two guards who were trying to flank Elena. The smell of burnt alien flesh filled the air. "You see," Chen continued, dodging an energy blast and returning fire. "While you were monitoring our expansion, we were studying you. Every diplomatic contact, every trade agreement, every cultural exchange, we learned your technology, your tactics, your weaknesses." A crystal creature tried to activate an alarm. Marcus put 3 rounds through its core structure. It shattered, like glass. The orange-furred council member was hiding behind his chair. "Guards! More guards!" "They are not coming," Chen said. She moved through the chamber like death with a purpose. Every shot hit its target. Every step was calculated. "Elena, status report." Elena was dismantling some kind of communication device. "Station's internal security is offline. External communications are jammed. We own their systems." Chen's smile returned, but it was nothing like her diplomatic expression. This smile belonged to someone who had earned the nickname Reapers. Smile in humanity's darkest conflicts, Zix tried to reach for a weapon on the wall. Chen put a blast through his shoulder, spinning him around. He crashed to the floor, green blood pooling beneath him. "Please," he gasped. "This was just politics. Just galactic security." Chen walked over to where he lay. "Just politics?" "Hi, Speaker. You were planning to broadcast my execution across human space. You wanted to provoke my people into a war you could win." She knelt beside him, still smiling. "But here is what you did not understand about humans. We are very good at war. We have been practicing for thousands of years." The snake-like council member tried to slither toward an exit. Marcus blocked his path. "Going somewhere, Counselor?" Marcus asked. His voice was friendly, but his eyes were cold. "This is madness," the alien hissed. "You cannot fight the entire galaxy." Elena finished with the communication device and turned around. "Actually, we can. Would you like to see our fleet?" She pressed something on her wrist device. The chamber's main display screen activated, showing the space around Nexus Station. Where before there had been empty stars, Now there were ships, dozens of them. Human warships that had somehow appeared without triggering any alarms. Cloaking technology, Chen explained to the surviving council members. Another innovation you missed. We have been here for 3 days, just waiting. The crystal being that had survived Marcus's attack made a sound like breaking glass. How is this possible? Our sensors show nothing. Your sensors show what we want them to show, Elena replied. We have been inside your systems since the day we arrived. Chen stood up, leaving Zix bleeding on the floor. She walked to the center of the chamber, where she had sat for 3 days, listening to insults and threats. Let me explain what is going to happen now, she announced. Her voice carried easily through the chamber. First, you are going to send a new message to the galaxy, not about my execution, but about humanity's official entry into galactic society. The orange-furred alien poked his head up from behind, his chair. You cannot force the council to accept you. Force? Chen laughed. Oh, counselor, we are not forcing anything. We are simply presenting new terms for negotiation. She gestured toward the display screen, where more human ships were becoming visible. Earth's diplomatic corps has decided that the galaxy needs a more direct approach to interspecies relations. The old council was clearly not working effectively. Marcus dragged the snake-like alien back to his seat. Sit. Stay. Chen continued her explanation. From now on, humanity will hold a permanent seat on the Galactic Council. We will have veto power over any decisions that affect human interests. This is conquest, Zix gasped from the floor. Pure military conquest. No, High Speaker, Chen corrected him. This is diplomacy. You see, we could destroy this station and everyone on it. We could hunt down your homeworlds and turn them to glass. We could show you what human warfare really looks like. She paused, letting that sink in. But we prefer negotiation. We prefer cooperation. We prefer to smile and talk through our differences. Elena had moved to the chamber's control systems. Station defenses are completely offline. Life support is under our control. Communications array is ready for broadcast. Chen nodded. Excellent. Counselors, you have a choice. You can cooperate with Earth's new role in galactic society, or you can explain to your people why their representatives started a war they cannot win. The surviving council members looked at each other with growing desperation. They had set a trap for humanity, but they had become the prey instead. What do you want? The crystal being asked quietly. What we have always wanted, Chen replied. Membership in galactic society, trade agreements, cultural exchange, peaceful cooperation. She gestured around the chamber, where alien bodies lay scattered among the wreckage of their trap. The difference is that now we are negotiating from a position of strength. Marcus checked his weapon and looked around the chamber. Clean sweep, Ambassador. No threats remaining. Elena was working at the communication console. Ready to broadcast on all frequencies. The galaxy is listening. Chen walked back to her chair in the center of the chamber. She sat down, straightened her diplomatic uniform, and composed her face into that familiar, gentle smile. Begin transmission, she ordered. The chamber's cameras activated, and Chen looked directly into the lens. When she spoke, her voice was warm, professional, and perfectly diplomatic. Citizens of the galaxy, she began, I am Ambassador Sarah Chen of Earth. I am pleased to announce that humanity has officially joined the Galactic Council as a full member species. Behind her, the surviving council members sat in their chairs, weapons trained on them by Marcus and Elena. They looked like prisoners being forced to attend their own surrender. The Council has unanimously voted to grant humanity a permanent seat and full participatory rights, Chen continued. We look forward to many years of peaceful cooperation and mutual benefit. Her smile never wavered as she delivered humanity's first official address to the galaxy, but everyone watching knew that smile meant something very different now. The broadcast ended, and Chen turned back to face the surviving council members. Her diplomatic smile remained in place, but her eyes held the cold certainty of someone who had just rewritten the rules of galactic politics. High Speaker Zix was still bleeding on the floor, his insect-like body trembling with pain and shock. You cannot expect the galaxy to accept this. They will see through your lies. Chen tilted her head thoughtfully. Lies? High Speaker, everything I said was true. The Council has voted to accept humanity. Of course, some members needed more convincing than others. She walked over to where Zix lay. "Let me help you back to your seat. We still have business to discuss." With surprising gentleness, she helped the wounded alien into his chair. Her touch was careful, almost medical. It was hard to believe these same hands had just killed 6 trained guards. "Now then," Chen said, addressing all the survivors, "let us talk about the new reality of galactic society." Elena had finished securing the chamber's systems. "Ambassador, we have complete control of the station. All external communications are being monitored and filtered through our systems." "Excellent." Chen returned to her chair in the center. "Counselors, you now have a choice to make. You can work with humanity as partners, or you can be replaced by representatives who will." The orange-furred alien, whose name was Counselor Threk, shook his head desperately. "You cannot simply replace the council. These positions are held for life by appointment from our home governments." "We're held for life?" Marcus corrected from his position by the door. "Terms and conditions have changed." Chen nodded. "Marcus is correct. The old system clearly was not working. Too much secrecy, too much plotting, too many attempts to eliminate potential rivals before they became threats." She looked around the chamber, her gaze lingering on each surviving member. "Humanity prefers a more direct approach. We prefer honest communication. We prefer to know where everyone stands." The crystal being, whose name was Resonance of Truth, chimed softly. "What you prefer is irrelevant. The other species will never accept human dominance. We have allies. We have fleets. We have resources you cannot imagine." Chen's smile widened. "Do you? Elena, please show our friends the current fleet positions." Elena activated the main display again. The screen now showed a tactical map of the local stellar region. Dozens of red dots marked the positions of various alien fleets. "Red markers indicate known hostile forces," Elena explained. "Blue markers are human vessels. Green markers are, well, let's call them newly cooperative forces." The council members stared in horror. Nearly half the red markers had turned green. While they watched, "How is this possible?" Zix gasped. "Diplomacy," Chen replied. "While you were planning my execution, my colleagues were having very productive conversations with your fleet commanders. It turns out many of them were not entirely comfortable with the Council's methods." Marcus activated his communicator. A series of voices came through, speaking various alien languages. Elena provided translation. "Admiral Keth of the 7th Zephyrian Fleet reports his ships are standing down. Commander Glix of the Altarian Defense Force is requesting permission to dock and discuss terms. The entire Crystalline Navy has declared neutrality and withdrawn from the system." Chen looked pleased. "You see, counselors, many of your military leaders are more reasonable than you are. When presented with the choice between cooperation and destruction, they chose wisely." Counselor Threk slumped in his chair. "This is impossible. You arrived 3 days ago with 1 shuttle and 2 guards." 3 days ago, yes," Chen agreed. "But we have been planning this operation for 6 months. Every piece had to be positioned perfectly. Every contingency had to be considered." She stood up and walked to the chamber's main window. Beyond the transparent aluminum, human warships hung in space like sleeping predators. "Do you know what I did before I became a diplomat? Counselors?" None of them answered. "I was a soldier, a very good soldier. I specialized in what we call impossible operations. Situations where the enemy held every advantage, where success seemed impossible, where failure meant death." She turned back to face them, and for a moment her diplomatic mask slipped completely. They saw something in her eyes that made them understand why death itself might be afraid. "I never failed a mission, not once." "Do you know why?" Zix tried to speak but could only make a clicking sound. "Because I learned that every enemy, no matter how powerful, has the same weakness. They assume they understand their opponents. They plan based on what they think they know." Chen walked back to the center of the chamber. "You thought you knew humanity. Violent, but primitive. Dangerous, but controllable. Strong enough to be worth eliminating, but not strong enough to see the trap." Elena had been monitoring communications from across the station. "Ambassador, we are receiving surrender requests from 17 different species representatives currently aboard Nexus Station." "Accept them all," Chen replied without hesitation. "Schedule individual meetings. We have a lot of new relationships. To establish, the snake-like counselor called Susthak raised his head slightly. What happens to us? To the old council? Chen considered the question seriously. That depends on you, Counselor Susthak. Some of you may find that your home governments prefer new representation. Others may discover they can work within the new system. She sat back down, her posture relaxed and comfortable. But understand this, the galaxy has changed. Humanity is not requesting membership anymore. We are not asking for a seat at the table. We are announcing that we have taken our place as a major power, and we expect to be treated accordingly. Resonance of truth made a sound like breaking crystal. And if we refuse? If our governments refuse to recognize these changes? Chen's smile returned, gentle and patient and absolutely terrifying. Then we will have more conversations like this. 1. We will send more diplomats like me to discuss terms. We will keep talking until everyone understands the new reality. Marcus checked something on his tactical display. Ambassador, Earth Command is requesting a status update. Tell them Phase 1 is complete, Chen replied. Begin Phase 2 preparations. The surviving council members exchanged worried glances. They had thought this was the end of their crisis, but apparently it was just the beginning. Phase 2? Threk asked weakly. Chen stood up and smoothed down her uniform. When she looked at them again, her diplomatic smile was perfectly in place. Why, Phase 2 is when we begin our new diplomatic missions to every major species in the galaxy. It turns out there are quite a few governments that could benefit from humanity's special approach to negotiation. She walked toward the chamber's exit, followed by Marcus and Elena. Counselors, please remain here while we arrange your transportation back to your home worlds. I am sure you have much to discuss with your governments about recent developments. At the doorway, she paused and looked back. Oh, and High Speaker Zix? You might want to have that shoulder looked at. We will need you healthy for all the diplomatic work ahead. The chamber doors closed behind the humans, leaving the alien council members alone with their fear and the growing understanding that the galaxy would never be the same. Outside in the corridor, Elena shook her head in amazement. I still cannot believe they fell for it completely. Pride, Marcus replied. They were so sure they were the hunters that they never considered they might be the prey. Chen nodded, her smile finally becoming genuine. Never underestimate the power of letting your enemies think they are smarter than you are. She activated her communicator again. Earth Command, this is Ambassador Chen. Nexus Station is secure. Beginning Phase 2 operations immediately. The voice that answered was warm with approval. Outstanding work, Ambassador. The President sends her congratulations. How do you feel about an extended tour of diplomatic duty? Chen looked out at the stars through a corridor window. Somewhere out there were dozens of species who still thought humanity could be bullied, controlled, or eliminated. Her smile grew wider. I would be honored to serve, Command. After all, the galaxy has so many new friends to meet. 6 months later, Ambassador Sarah Chen sat in the very same chamber where the old Galactic Council had planned her execution. But everything was different now. The chamber had been rebuilt. Human technology had replaced the old systems. The 12 seats remained, but new faces occupied most of them. Some were the same species as before, but with different representatives. Others were entirely new species who had requested membership after seeing how the galaxy was changing. Chen's own chair had been moved from the center to take its place as an equal among the council members. The Earth emblem was carved into its back, a blue planet surrounded by stars. Today's session was routine business, trade agreements, colony expansion permits, cultural exchange programs, the kind of boring diplomatic work that made civilizations function. But Chen's smile remained the same. The motion to establish a joint research facility in the Vega system is approved, announced the new High Speaker, a tall reptilian being called Krex. All member species may contribute personnel and resources. The other council members nodded. Agreement. These new representatives had learned to be very cooperative since the changes began. Excellent, Chen said warmly. Earth will provide security personnel for the facility. We want to ensure all researchers feel safe while they work. Nobody questioned what kind of security Earth might provide. They had all learned not to question Earth's methods too closely. After the session ended, Chen remained in her chair as the other members filed out. She was reviewing reports from across the galaxy when Marcus approached. "Ambassador," he said quietly, "we have received a new assignment." Chen looked up from her tablet. "Oh? What kind of assignment?" "The hegemony of Kral has been making aggressive moves toward the Terran colonial zone. Intelligence suggests they are planning some kind of military action." Chen's smile grew thoughtful. "The hegemony of Kral. They were not at our first diplomatic meeting here, were they?" "No, ma'am. They refused the invitation to join the new council structure. They have been telling other species that humanity can be defeated if enough of them work together." "How interesting." Chen closed her tablet and stood up. "I suppose they need to learn about our diplomatic methods." Elena entered the chamber carrying a small bag. "Transport is ready, Ambassador. The hegemony capital is a 3-day journey from here." "Wonderful." Chen smoothed down her uniform and checked her appearance in the chamber's reflective walls. Her diplomatic smile was perfect. As they walked toward the docking bay, Marcus briefed her on their destination. "The Kral are a warrior species. They respect strength and despise weakness. Their society is built around military conquest and honor combat." "Traditional warriors," Chen mused. "That could make negotiations more direct. I appreciate honesty in these discussions." Elena added more details. "Their capital city is built inside a massive fortress, multiple defense layers, planetary shields, orbital weapon platforms. They are not taking any chances." "Good for them," Chen replied. "It shows they take security seriously. We can respect that." They boarded their shuttle, which looked exactly like the diplomatic vessel that had brought them to Nexus Station 6 months earlier. Simple, unarmed, carrying only basic life support and communication equipment, or at least, that was how it appeared to any scanning systems. The journey to Kral space gave Chen time to review the files. On their leadership, War Chief Brutok ruled the hegemony with absolute authority. He had conquered 17 different species and added their worlds to his empire. His military commanders were all battle-tested veterans who had earned their positions through combat. "They sound like professionals," Chen commented as she read. "I respect people who are good at their jobs." When they arrived at the Kral homeworld, their reception was immediate and overwhelming. Dozens of warships surrounded their small shuttle, weapons locked onto them from every direction. A harsh voice demanded their surrender. "This is War Chief Brutok of the Kral hegemony. Human vessel, you have entered sovereign Kral space without permission. Prepare to be boarded and detained." Chen activated their communication system, her voice calm and pleasant. "War Chief Brutok, this is Ambassador Sarah Chen of Earth. We are here on a diplomatic mission to discuss recent tensions between our peoples." "There will be no discussion," Brutok snarled back. "Humans have caused enough trouble in the galaxy. Your expansion ends here." "I understand your concerns," Chen replied. "Perhaps we could meet in person to discuss this properly? I find face-to-face conversations are much more productive." There was a long pause. Then Brutok's voice returned, filled with what sounded like amusement. "Very well, human. You wish to meet? Come to my fortress. Come alone and unarmed. We will show you what happens to species who threaten the Kral." Chen's smile widened. "That sounds perfect, War Chief. We accept your invitation." 2 hours later, Chen stood in the throne room of Brutok's fortress. The chamber was massive, built from black stone and decorated with weapons from 100 conquered worlds. Brutok himself sat on a throne made from the hull of a destroyed starship. He was impressive. 9 feet tall, covered in natural armor plating, with 4 arms and eyes that glowed red in the dim light. Behind him stood his war council, 12, of the most dangerous-looking aliens Chen had ever seen. "So," Brutok rumbled, "the humans send us a small female to negotiate. This is supposed to intimidate us?" Chen bowed politely. "War Chief, I am here to prevent unnecessary conflict between our peoples. Surely we can find common ground." "Common ground?" One of the War Council members laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "Humans, your species has upset the natural order of the galaxy. You destroyed the old council. You forced other species to submit to your rule. We prefer the term encouraged cooperation," Chen replied mildly. Brutok leaned forward on his throne. We know what happened at Nexus Station, human. We know how you murdered council members and threatened the survivors. We know about your hidden fleets and your technological tricks. Chen nodded. Then you understand that we prefer honest negotiation to lengthy deception. What we understand, Brutok growled, is that your species needs to be stopped before you become a threat to warrior races like the Kraul. He stood up from his throne, towering over Chen. But we are not the weak politicians of the old council. We are warriors. We do not fear death. We do not surrender to threats. Chen's smile remained perfectly steady. War Chief, I would never dream of threatening such obviously capable warriors, but perhaps I could share some information that might change your perspective? Speak, Brutok commanded. Chen activated a small device on her wrist. The air above them shimmered, and a holographic display appeared showing the space around the Kraul homeworld, where before there had been only Kraul warships. Now there were human vessels, lots of them. The War Council members stirred uneasily. Several reached for weapons. This is impossible, one of them snarled. Our sensors show nothing. Your sensors are quite good, Chen agreed. But human technology has advanced considerably. Since we joined Galactic Society, we have had excellent teachers. Brutok's red eyes narrowed. How long have you been here? We arrived about 3 hours before my shuttle, Chen replied. We wanted to make sure the meeting would not be interrupted by outside interference. She gestured toward the display where more human ships were becoming visible. The thing about warriors, War Chief, is that they understand strength. They respect capability. They know when they are outmatched. Brutok's 4 hands clenched in 2 fists. You think this display of ships frightens us? We have faced fleets before. We have won against impossible odds. I am sure you have, Chen said warmly. That is why I am hoping we can work together instead of fighting. She touched her device again, and the display changed. Now it showed detailed scans of the fortress itself, its defenses, its weapon systems, its structural weak points. See, War Chief. While you were scanning my shuttle, my ships were scanning everything else. We know exactly how strong your defenses are. We know where your weapons are positioned. We know how many troops you have and where they are stationed. The chamber fell silent except for the sound of alien breathing. More importantly, Chen continued, we know you are intelligent warriors. You understand tactics. You can see when a battle cannot be won. Brutok stared at the display for a long moment. Then he began to laugh, a deep, booming sound that echoed through the chamber. Clever, he admitted. Very clever. You come here appearing weak and helpless, but you bring enough firepower to destroy our homeworld. Appearing weak has its advantages, Chen agreed. People underestimate you. They make mistakes. And if we refuse your terms? One of the War Council asked. Chen's smile never wavered. Then we will be very disappointed. But we will understand. Sometimes warriors must choose to fight even when they cannot win. Honor is more important than survival. She paused, letting that sink in. Of course, after the shooting stops, we would still need to discuss terms with whoever takes command of the hegemony. Brutok studied her for a long moment. Then he threw back his head and laughed again. You are a warrior yourself, human. I can see it in your eyes. You have killed before. Many times, Chen replied honestly. But I prefer negotiation when possible. And when negotiation fails,